is anything we do ever really up to us? We're talking about free will. We're talking about determinism. We're talking about cause and effect. We're talking about, destiny.
Yes. My answer is yes.
Phails at philosophy.
It's a fairly open question. Is anything? I'm sure that in the things we do, there's some things that are up to us. I'm not a fatalist.
I don't think I'm a fatalist either.
I think we tend to overvalue how much we have control over.
Yeah, because we don't have control.
Right.
There's so many
we make
variables outside of our...
At some points, and I don't think it's helpful to think otherwise.
If we can build habits through action, if we have agency, things are up to us.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the whole idea and notion of agency requires...
Right, and I think living a life without a notion of agency doesn't make sense, right?
No, doesn't make sense.
Because even the need to make sense assumes agency. I would need it to make sense in order to do something with that. I hear the fatalism arguments, but I'm like, but you're making the choice to make that, and you can't get around that fundamental experience.
Oh, they're using their agency to make the fatalistic argument.
Yeah, like that fundamental, and everything else that I think we've built in terms of our way of understanding the world is so preconditioned on the basic premise that we are an agent in a world, right? We don't even have a question of knowledge unless we're an agent in the world.
We have an agent in the world, and yet what we do right now is going to be based on all of our experiences up until now.
Absolutely.
If I was born into a rich family,
yep,
I can't decide to buy a yacht right now.
Right.
Because I wasn't born into this yacht buying family where I can just go buy yachts.
Yeah.
So there is some impact to the past or where we
have agency, but it's partial.
It's partial.
Right. We have partial agency because there's so many things that shape us and our world that are not our agency as well.
What percentage do you think we got free will? What percentage?
I don't know if it's helpful to think about it because it's only important really in those moments where we have free will.
10%?
I think it's probably a fraction of a percent, but
we're 1%ers,
right? But that we tend to have agency in those moments that most matter, right? Most of the day we're on autopilot, but especially if we're attuned, our awareness knows that autopilot has a good ability to kick us up out of it. When we got to make a decision,
we got to be able to make decisions.
We're driving down the road. We're just on autopilot. But the minute that car comes careening from out of the,
we wake up and
act right
when it's really important,
right? And that's partly, I think, because it does seem when people do the cognitive research, that moment when you wake up and act, you're burning so many more calories than when you're on autopilot. It's just a very decision making awareness agency is a very resource intensive process for the organism.
I watched this video. It was awesome. It was an Oxford debate, a debate at Oxford. And the person who was speaking is an author called Daniel Markovits. He wrote a book called The Meritocracy Trap.
Oh, nice.
I think that's the name of it. I should have put his book on there. And he goes through 4 kind of arguments for meritocracy being a sham.
Right.
And the first one was like investment. The investment is really what dictates outcome.
Yeah.
It's not raw ability.
Yes.
It's not, physical whatever. It's actually imparting knowledge and having high practice. Good practice makes perfect, not practice. Practice makes permanent.
Right.
Good practice makes perfect. And these people have access to the best. So all of that, these kids, these human entities that come from whatever past life into that life, they don't have any choice in that. They just wake up and they're like, oh, I got this person investing a ton of energy into me and dumping a bunch of information. And that's really going to control what they do.
And it's very early. in the
Very
formation
early.
of
It's fundamental.
Right.
Whether they say primary conditioning occurs in the home, this is all happening. Their cycle of violence is almost a cycle of meritocracy for them.
It's what the Head Start program was based on, like the justification of the Head Start program, was a recognition that our public educational system was not providing that kind of environment to invest in us as human beings broadly enough, because we started at kindergarten. And by kindergarten, there's a whole set of basic processes. It's the framework. That's why social emotional learning is so important in K through, especially elementary education, because it's such a formative period. And people are like some people hear social emotional learning, they're like, oh, that's getting away from the fundamentals. But it's actually really about the fundamentals of who you are as a human being, as a learner, and the structures of habits that get embedded in a very pliable neurology at an early age. Not that you can't change it later.
There is neuroplasticity.
But it's harder. And it's harder throughout life. And I even see this in myself. Like, I notice how older people are more rigid in their minds. Like, and you see that when you're seeing someone go through dementia, that rigidity rears up even stronger, even as they're losing cognitive faculties.
You need to do some fasting.
Right.
Keep that.
All that is there, and we have that plasticity. So yeah, absolutely. That's an interesting, one of the books that I thought about bringing, but I didn't, was a different book with a similar argument called The Tyranny of Merit.
Maybe we do
which
get
was
into
more
merit.
of an ethicist's focus on meritocracy.
I want to invite my audience to go watch this video. You can just search Meritocracy Debate. It's by Oxford Union is the YouTube channel that has it, and Daniel Markovits.
And what's the name of the book?
His book is the Meritocracy Trap.
Are we going to add that as a book?
And we can.
Yeah.
I'd be glad to add that. And I think the reason I want them to read it now, because of all the stuff it's a topical conversation now about DEI.
Right.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think he makes a really good argument for how if we do prioritize meritocracy, we are going to have rich folks in all the best positions.
Yes.
We're not going to have a good, and I think society requires us to share and to be, and there to be diversity at all areas. And meritocracy, if you watch this, I hope you do, meritocracy is not good for them either. He goes extensively into how it really ruins their lives too. These kids don't want to be poked and prodded from the time they're born to like get good grades and do all this stuff. They want to go run and play and fall down on a playground.
Right.
It's bad for everybody.
Right. Now, that doesn't mean we don't focus on excellence, but the weird thing about meritocracy is that instead of saying we as a civilization are going to focus on excellence and becoming the most excellent human being we can be, we're going to use that as a justification for how we rank people, distribute resources.
Yeah.
That's the problem with meritocracy, is not the focus on excellence, but the focus that like achievement of excellence should somehow be tied to how the system rewards you. Yeah. And not to recognize the fundamental injustice of a system that excludes people who are trying their hardest
and it makes
within their capabilities.
It gives them, he talks about this too, it gives them this perception of themselves being wrong or bad because they don't have what they fundamentally can't have. Because they just didn't have that same experience. They weren't invested in from the beginning. So I'm definitely putting this on here, but it is your turn to pick. How did we get there? Oh, we were talking about the question of, is anything really up to us?
Yeah.
And we came to the conclusion that yes, 1%.
Yeah. And then you were like, 1%, meritocracy.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I did think of that. Yeah, that's how we got there.